I created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, am the Prinzessin DeerFeather. I hear the voice of fate, speaking my name in humble supplication. I created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, am the Prinzessin DeerFeather. I created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, am the Prinzessin DeerFeather. May the glory of the Prinzessin bring light to this world.
must have her reasons.
I created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, am the Prinzessin DeerFeather.
Welcome to Bonton Sangha Detective Agency. What will you have me solve?
Phantasmagoria. No rest for the weak.
Reveal thyself!
No rest for the wicked.
Scatter! Spring forth! Wings of darkness! Come, sever night from day!
Listen, as long as you stick to your own path, it doesn't matter what Mother Nature throws at you. Guess we can rest a bit.
I created another universe and founded paradise. For I, Fischl, am the Prinzessin DeerFeather. Ad Astra.
No. Whatever.
Why do new explorers make the same mistake?
Wait.
Osmanthus, I see.
Come, try some creative cooking.
I've had very...
Military supplies for now.
do those symbols really mean?
Phantasmagoria.
Allow me! Taurus, bring refuge! Greetings, Traveler and Paimon. What time is it?
Are you okay, Ganyu? You were nodding off there. Didn't you sleep well last night?
I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Let's discuss the matter at hand. Since last time, I've been thinking a lot about the story Paimon told me. In essence, someone rescued a drowning man and performed some music. If that were all there was to it, it could have been many people, human or Adeptus. But the tune was allegedly so wonderful that the drowning man forgot about everything else, even his own impending death, and only came to his senses after being brought to shore. Perhaps there was an adeptal power at work in that music that he, as a mortal, could not perceive. Or perhaps he sensed a power surrounding him but lacked the words to describe it, not knowing where it came from. Either way, if this part of the story is true, then the rescuer has to have been an Adeptus.
You really think so? But this story is all the way from Fontaine. Isn't this a bit of a long shot? Also, Paimon's really curious about how people from Fontaine think this fairy lady looked. Ooh, like a crystal fly's wings? That would be pretty cool. But Paimon definitely can't imagine any of the Adepti looking like that. Actually, Ganyu, if you had to save a drowning person, how would you go about it?
Huh? Me? Well, I'd get them to the shore, and then I'd probably hide behind a tree and watch them for a while. Once I was sure that they were going to be okay, I'd slip away without a sound.
Got it. So basically, Ganyu's the type of person who doesn't like taking credit for her good deeds.
No, it's not like that. I'm just not very good at explaining things. And I also find it really awkward accepting other people's gratitude.
Well, what if this Adeptus in the story had a similar attitude? That would explain why she just left without saying a word. She was probably thinking something like, one was merely passing by and saw fit to address this egregious disruption to one's graceful zithering at once. You may keep your thanks to yourself.
That was actually a very good impression of Cloud Retainer, Paimon. As far as I'm aware, Cloud Retainer isn't the most musically gifted. Still, we can't completely rule her out just yet. If we set off now, we could head to Mount Outsung and ask her about it. You'll be able to confirm either way if it's her, and I can, I've been in Lea Harbor for so long now that I'm just not as familiar with the Adepti anymore. If there's anything we want to know about them, she's the best person to ask.
Sounds great! And we're pretty close with Cloud Retainer by now, so we probably don't even need to bring her food this time, right?
I've prepared a gift for her to mark the festival, just in case. However, Cloud Retainer spends most of her days studying mechanisms in her abode. She's on her own so much of the time that the moment she has someone to chat with, she just... Never mind. I promised I'd help Mr. Dvorak, and now that I've made the contract, I can't be having second thoughts. Traveler, Paimon, let's set off for Cloud Retainer's abode.
Seems like this is a tough decision for Ganyu, but she's made up her mind now. Paimon gets why she'd be so anxious. Okay, how about this? If Cloud Retainer tries to start telling stories about her again this year, we should pipe up and change the topic. Wait, did she leave already? Hey, Ganyu, wait up! Paimon's so tired from trying to keep up. Don't either of you need to take any breaks?
I can't believe it. Cloud Retainer is not here.
Huh? Did we miss her?
She doesn't like to travel, so in the past, it's always been the other Adepti who come to visit her during the festivals.
Somehow Paimon doubts that anything could cause serious trouble for her.
True. Now that I think about it, Cloud Retainer would be quite capable of taking care of anything on her own. There's no need to worry about her. Since she's not here, I guess the next step is to check all the other Adepti abodes, one by one.
Uh-oh. Will it involve a lot more traveling? Got it! Paimon has a great idea!
Please go on, Paimon.
Our goal here is to find the Adeptus that helped Dvorak's ancestor, right? We can't hear any music right now, but if she's really as nice as the story suggests, she'd definitely come to help anyone who was drowning, right?
Yes, I think that's fair to say.
So, all we have to do is get the Traveler to pretend to fall into the water, and the Adeptus will come to the rescue! You know perfectly well that Paimon can't swim! Paimon would sink like a rock! Just trust Paimon! The water's pretty deep over there! Quick, swim to the very center!
What is going on?
How do you feel right now?
Shenhe! And the Conqueror of Demons.
Why don't you say something? Please don't make Paimon explain it. Okay, fine. Paimon will explain. We're looking for an Adeptus who's good at being a lifeguard and playing music. But if the Adepti aren't gonna stay home, then how are we supposed to find them?
It wasn't me.
Yeah, so this Adeptus is most likely a woman.
And I am not an Adeptus, as you both already know, Traveler and Paimon.
Okay, so this is Paimon's fault. No way Paimon would have suggested this idea if she'd known how awkward this was gonna be.
Glad you're okay. As far as I know, the one you seek is no Yaksha. And one last thing. Your actions here caused others a great deal of worry. Do not repeat them again in the future.
As ever, the Conqueror of Demons comes and goes, just like the wind.
Right. I didn't dare to say a word just now. How's your training going, Shenhe? Have you made any plans for Lantern Rite? We could spend it together in Liyue Harbor if you'd like.
Oh, I had planned to spend the festival with Master this year. However...
Oh, speaking of Cloud Retainer, when did you see her last?
Earlier this morning, she set off for Mount Hulao at dawn. I noticed she was using an Adeptus art of some kind to protect a mechanism that looked like a boiler. Maybe it was a gift for Mountain Shaper. I did not inquire.
So we just missed her. Please excuse me for a moment. I think I'll leave the gift in her abode.
Sure. Thank you.
It sounds like Ganyu and Shenhe have gotten a lot closer recently.
Yes. During the summer and winter, I continued to train with Master. In the other months of the year, I have been learning to adapt to human life in Liyue Harbor. Ganyu arranged accommodations for me in the city, and also recommended several work positions for me. But when I try to blend in by referring to her as Miss Ganyu or Lady Ganyu, like the others, she says I mustn't address her like that. Sometimes I'm supposed to copy other people. Sometimes I'm not. It's a little difficult to keep track of everything. Oh, is that what it is? Noted. So, you came looking for Master today because you wanted to ask her about the Mystery Adeptus. Is that right?
Yep. Oh, speaking of that, have you ever heard any music while out training in the mountains?
Music? What is that?
It's... a kind of a happy or relaxing sound. Or, a nerve-wracking sound. Or even a terrifying one.
Okay, I'm done. I also left her a note so that she knows where to find us. We won't miss her again.
Yay! That's really helpful, thanks!
We were just talking about this thing called music, and based on Paimon's description, I do believe I hear it every day. Please follow me.
Oh, really? Great, let's go!
This is the place. I enjoy training here to the sound of music.
Oh no! Paimon's gone deaf! Paimon can't hear anything!
The faint sound of birdsong, the quiet murmur of the streams. These are relaxing sounds. Are they not the music of which you speak?
Oh, Paimon wasn't quite done with the description. Okay, fine. It's all Paimon's fault. What we're looking for are not the sounds of nature, but melodies played on special instruments.
Oh, and a melody is?
Huh?
Hey, why don't you just sing that one melody Shen has heard before? It'll probably help her to understand what we're talking about.
Oh, was that from the opera that Yunjin sang?
That was a melody, and melodies can be called music.
It felt like I was transported back to the past. In my mind's eye, I could see the Zhao lanterns lighting up the night sky again. We're all there, raising our glasses and drinking to our heart's content on the Jade Chamber. As I watched Yunjin's performance, I felt a warm sensation in my heart. And as the drink reached my stomach, it went from warm to hot. When you hummed that melody just now, feelings from a whole year ago came right back to me, as strong as they were on that day. So that's the power of music.
Wow, Shenhe. That was so deep! Music definitely has the power to bring up memories. It's like a time capsule with all the special moments from our lives squished inside. What about you, Ganyu? Are there any melodies that have left a deep impression on you?
I don't remember if my parents ever sang any lullabies to me. I know some local folk songs, and a few other things come to mind too. The songs of the sailors down at the docks, the little ditties that the vendors call out in front of their beloved shops, the tunes of folk artists performing on the streets. Yes, that's right. In the past, whenever I heard the sound of those tunes, I always felt that they were worlds apart from me. Nenny and Liyue probably view me as a non-human. And they are right, in the sense that I never could connect with humans' artistic expression and their sentiments. So I haven't been able to integrate into their community and be a part of their lives. At least, that's the view I held in the past. Only more recently did I start to realize that the only barriers are ones that I have erected with my imagination. The way those melodies make me feel isn't all that different from other people after all. They're about mundane details of everyday existence, life's ups and downs, joys and sorrows. Even though we come from different backgrounds and have different stories to tell, when it comes down to the most common things that we see and experience around us each day in the city, in that sense, we're all the same.
You go, Ganyu! You're really making progress. You have loads of friends in Liyue Harbor when you think about it. Like, okay, maybe some are more like coworkers and bosses. But at the very least, Keqing and Shenhe are your friends now, right?
Yes, I am. Technically speaking, we should refer to each other by the conventional forms of address used among fellow disciples. But now that I know what constitutes a friendship, I do believe we are more friends than co-disciples.
Thank you, everyone.
Once the days are warmer, I would like to host you at my home in the city. Please invite Kuching as well. I've planted many types of flowers. I'm sure some of them will be to your taste.
You are too kind. I couldn't possibly.
Nonsense. You are my friend. I have cultivated and cared for the flowers just as you taught me. Once you've seen them for yourself, I am sure you can advise me how to do an even better job next time. I will save some for decoration. We can feast on the rest.
Then, thank you in advance. Wait, what is that saying again? If you insist?
Do people say that? I'm not completely sure either.
It doesn't matter, okay? You got the point across. No need to split hairs. Paimon's more concerned about your idea of a girls' night out. Eating flowers? Really? Does this have anything to do with you both being the disciples of that illuminated bird?
Who dares refer to one not by one's Adeptus title, but merely as that illuminated bird?
Master.
Our greetings, Cloud Retainer.
Ah! There it is! The illuminated bird has landed!
Double humph. Now she has the gall to use it rather than she. Even after being chastised once already? Barely a moment has passed since we last met, and yet your impertinence has reached new heights. Very well. If you refuse to learn your lesson, one shall scold you no further. One has received your message from Ganyu. On the matter of the Adeptus you seek, one suspects to know their identity. Well, shall one lead the way?
I still have to complete my training for today, so I will bid farewell to everyone here.
Very well. Await my arrival at one's abode later this night. On this special occasion, you should indulge yourself with some savory dishes.
If you want to release a Shao Lantern, come and find us anytime.
Thank you, everyone. Happy Lantern Rite to you too.
Is this Quaily Plains? Cloud Retainer, why did you bring us here?
Ganyu is of course familiar with the name Guizhong, but have you ever heard of her? Guizhong is another name of Agentis, the god of dust. She was extroverted in nature and adored social gatherings and inventions alike. Long ago, this region was yet a prosperous assembly. Guizhong often invited her friends to visit her home, reserving for us seats around the largest stone table. Seagazer would always bring out his latest treasure and place it upon the table. He could be quite the braggart. Though usually a mild-mannered fellow, when it came to those collectibles he was so fond of, he always loved to show them off.
Paimon remembers that name. So that's what Seagazer was like.
He was an old friend and a former rival. One has many memories of him. Once he had brought out the treasure, it would predictably become the center of attention. Neither Guizhong nor One was content to let him just steal the spotlight. So we would then also present our proudest mechanical creations. As Adepti, we were each gifted in our own ways, and naturally proud of our accomplishments in our respective fields of expertise. As a result, One often quarreled with Seagazer. His treasures were not even of his own making. He just used his exploration skills to dig them out of the ground. How, pray tell, could he compare to me, when every single one of One's accomplishments were crafted by one's own hand?
Cloud Retainer, you are getting competitive again.
One digresses. Regardless, every time an argument occurred, Guizhong would come over to watch us during our mutual lambastics. On some occasions, she would join in, and on others, she'd take one of us by the limb and start uttering the most ridiculous nonsense.
What kind of nonsense?
No kind of nonsense were we spared. Sometimes she would brazenly opine, "Ah, why argue between yourselves when neither of you could ever hope to beat me?" Other times, she would make unsolicited suggestions, such as, "Once you two are done arguing, let's go to the foot of the mountain and grill some meat." She always sought to make everyone happy, and one must say, she had quite the gift for it. No matter what nonsense she said, One never felt bothered or offended. It also helped that she never referred to One as that illuminated bird or ladybird.
Come on, get over yourself!
Anyway, just as our impassioned arguments would reach the apex of acrimony, Marchosius would bring his delectable dishes to the table. Who would dare snub the stove god and his wondrous creations? At the sight of him, we would all immediately drop the argument and prepare the table for a night of feasting and drinking. Back then, One was always bothered by how the cups Rex Lapis brought were always too square for one's taste. Can you see yourselves ever enjoying a drink from a square cup? Then you are most tolerant, but that is its own virtue. Even One could never find fault with Marchosius's cooking. As we ate, Guizhong would continue to find topics for conversation, filling the table with humor and laughter. Each of those old fossils had their character flaws and points of obstinacy. So why was it that whenever we dined together, we always had a marvelous time? We would drink together from a spot high in the mountains until the moon set and the sun rose, and only then would the banquet finally come to an end. Streetwood Rambler would often remain to admire the flowers with Guizhong before returning to her own abode. The glaze lilies were far more abundant back then. Entire fields of them would appear to the eye as a veritable sea of flowers.
Streetward Rambler?
That would be Ping. You probably know her as Madam Ping.
Oh, okay. Wait, this is a lovely story and everything, but didn't we come here to find that Adeptus from Mr. Dvorak's story? Or are you saying that it was Guizhong? Didn't she, already,
Alas, long has One avoided this place for precisely that reason. The sights here are a reminder of a time long gone, and evoke much sorrow. One should have guessed that you would disrupt one's poignant moment of mourning with your incessant questioning. No matter, One will share the whole story with you now. In times gone by, one quarreled oft with Guizhong concerning mechanical principles. We each had our ideals, and neither would yield. Under the pretext of a social gathering, one invited the impartial Rex Lapis to judge the quality of our creations. But Rex Lapis declared that Guizhong's Obscuro Vulpus mechanism was superior. Though one was too proud to acknowledge it, in one's heart, one knew that Guizhong was indeed the superior talent in the mechanical arts. As for the story between Guizhong and Streetward Rambler, that begins with a certain bell. In Guizhong's opinion, while mechanisms were no substitute for human composers, they were yet capable of producing simple but fine melodies. But Streetward Rambler believed music to be an expression of the soul, an emotional enterprise that could never hope to be replicated by machinery. They argued endlessly, until one asked Rex Lapis to intercede. He confiscated the bell and designated it for ceremonial use. Thereafter, one would often find them convening in the mountains, discussing music, mechanics, and all the affairs of the mortal world. But these good times were not to last. War broke out between the gods, and soon engulfed the Guili Plains. Guizhong was overpowered by the enemy, and fell in battle. When Streetward Rambler and I arrived at the scene at long last, all that remained among the ruins was her lifeless body. After this, at Streetward Rambler's request, Rex Lapis granted her the cleansing bell for safekeeping. To honor our friend's memory, one made a few finishing touches to her ballistic device. Many Lantern Rites have passed since then. Many greetings and goodbyes. Upon what do you gaze? The Guili Plains?
No. It's everything. We think of human life as like a lantern that's lit one minute and extinguished the next. But are we Adepti so different? Perhaps as dust settles after a storm, we too must one day return to the world below.
One has always been austere and private by nature, and has never relished socializing. One's dealings with Guizhong were born out of discussions on the discipline of mechanics.
What? You have loads of friends, and you seem pretty chatty.
Just because one is not ignorant of social graces does not mean one is fond of them. One is perfectly capable of partaking in conversation despite being introverted. But in the end, one is nothing like Streetward Rambler. She is dauntless but thoughtful, not to mention eloquent and wise. Moreover, her friendship with Guizhong was far greater than one's own. Back when they were rivals, they would often compete against one another in the realm of musical composition. That cleansing bell was one of Guizhong's proudest works, having the ability to both compose and perform.
Wait, that's weird. Didn't Madame Ping say she pestered an old friend for that bell? And she also said something about being a vain beauty when she was young or something.
Streetward Rambler, a vain beauty. My foot. That bell has a sad history. Clearly, she refrained from sharing with you the truth of its origins, since the right time had not yet come. As for her old friend, who else could it be? As soon as Streetward Rambler heard that a certain Zhongli wished to borrow the bell, she realized that the man was none other than Rex Lapis, and that he had made an enormous decision. After all, we all have known each other for several millennia. Some things between us are implicitly understood.
So they were talking in secret code? Oh, Paimon did not see that one coming.
Enough of your intrusions. Where was one up to? Ah, yes. One remembers now. The cleansing bell is powered by a mechanical art, and can be used to great effect as an accompanying instrument. After the passing of its creator, it was used on numerous occasions during rites of parting. But Streetward Rambler did not acquire it from Rex Lapis for the purpose of producing further funerary tunes. No, each time she rang it, it was to play the tune that Gui Zhang composed on it. The two once clashed over their beliefs about the meaning of music. Who would have thought that with Gui Zhang's passing and Streetward Rambler's mourning, two tunes composed in discord would eventually become one harmonious composition? Once upon a time, Streetwood Rambler also loved gatherings, liquor, and music. But after Gui Zhang passed, she preferred her own company. She could often be found sitting alone at a mountain summit, contemplating and reminiscing with her zither. The music would go from mournful to soothing to impassioned. Many years passed before she finally composed a melody to her satisfaction. In celebration, she played the tune to the clouds. Regrettably, one has only ever heard her play that tune once. Which brings one back to the matter you've been investigating. Perhaps it was during that performance that the ancestor of your Fontaine friend fell into the water and was saved by Streetwood Rambler.
But if she was so happy with the melody, why would she only play it once?
One was also greatly perplexed by this. After suppressing one's curiosity for a long while, one finally approached her and asked why she would retire the tune after having spent so long on it. In response, she said, "Though the strings that played that melody survive, the one who inspired it is gone. Tell me, Cloud Retainer, when the one attuned to my soul is no longer here, who else could hope to understand this tune?"
Aw, poor Madam Ping.
I just remember being taken care of by you when I was young. Once the Archon War came to an end, I stayed behind in Liyue Harbor to honor my contract. Although I met Gui Zhang a few times, I never knew anything of this particular story.
Gui Zhang was quite the visionary, but tragically passed before her time. Her manuscripts still lie unfinished in the realm of clouds. Blank pages give one cause for contemplation on what might have been. Had you not decided to search for that mystery Adeptus, perhaps these stories, too, would have been lost to the sands of time. As of now, you know the truth. That the Adeptus who rescued the drowning man was none other than Streetwood Rambler. Do you intend to discuss this with her?
Do you mean Ping might find the topic too distressing?
Precisely. The passing of our old friend is a heavy topic that both of us are usually careful to avoid.
If I may be so bold, Cloud Retainer, could it be that this is just your own personal opinion?
Oh? How so?
I've been in Liyue Harbor for quite a long time now, and I've witnessed many farewells along the way, so I too am well acquainted with the pain of the passing of a loved one. But this doesn't bring the city or its people to a standstill. They have to keep moving forward. Someone as perceptive and wise as Ping will surely have come to understand and embrace this. Though these immortal mountains have lost an Adeptus, the harbor of mortals has gained a wise elder. No loss can ever be undone, but there is always much that can still be gained. Ping has helped countless people, and will guide many others in the years to come. And all to whom she extends a helping hand become her friends. People she can admire flowers and discuss music with. Though it is heartbreaking to lose a kindred spirit, life goes on, because there are new friends waiting for you further down the road.
We even asked Madame Ping what she thought about adding a music festival to this year's Lantern Rite. Oh, when we get back, why don't we just ask her if she'd like to perform? Maybe we can even get her up on stage.
You youngsters and your imaginations.
Why don't you come with us? It's been a long time since you last spoke with Ping, and Liyue Harbor is always decorated so beautifully during the festival period.
Is not every Lantern Rite the same in this regard? Were there ever anything new to discuss? One in Ping could meet any day of the year.
I disagree. Each new day and each new year is different from those that have come before. How long will you simply let them pass you by?
The edibles she brought this time were indeed quite delectable. Very well. Then one will be off. If the other old fossils have sneaked away into the city to amuse themselves, one shall soon find out.
All right. We should be getting back to the harbor as well. We don't want to keep her waiting. Once the Guili Assembly, now the Guili Plains. Say, if we planted flowers there and cared for them carefully enough, do you think that one day we'd be able to recreate the sea of glaze lilies?
Allow one to take back one's praise from a moment prior. You are still far too given to flights of fancy, child.
What? Cloud Retainer? You were still listening?
One observed that you were making no effort to leave, and returned to chasten and hasten you. This time, one is departing in earnest.
Whoa! Madame Ping? And Cloud Retainer?
It appears you made haste after all. One arrived but moments before you.
Oh,
bless my soul. To what do I owe the honor? How nice of you all to come and visit me.
Miss Illuminated Bird, haven't you said anything yet?
Said what, precisely? And why should one be tasked with saying it?
'Cause you're the one who's known Madam Ping the longest.
Street word. Or rather, presumably, you would prefer to be addressed as Ping?
Oh, Cloud Retainer, you are uncommonly polite today.
Given that Lantern Rite is almost upon us, the weather in the city is most pleasant, and a sweet floral fragrance lingers in the air. Ganyu, please continue from here.
Huh? All right. So, this all started because we were trying to help Mr. Dvorak find the Adeptus who saved his ancestor's life. Cloud Retainer informed us that the one who played that melody and rescued the drowning man was none other than yourself.
Let me think. Yes, I do believe I recall that encounter. What a long time ago that was. I'm surprised that you still remember it. Even more astonishing, perhaps, is the fact that this story has survived this long at all, when mortal lives are so very brief. It appears that she has proven herself right once again.
Who's she?
We like to call her Guizhong. From the look in Cloud Retainer's eyes, I sense that she has already told you all about her.
Albeit reluctantly, one might add.
There is no harm done. After all, Lantern Rite's very purpose is to commemorate the heroes who gave their lives for Liyue. Although Guizhong did not live to see the splendid sights of today, she was as much a hero as any other.
So how has she proven herself right again exactly?
Once upon a time, she said to me that humans were a weak form of life that she wished to protect with her wisdom. But as she interacted more and more with them, her opinions on them began to change. She marveled at the beautiful complexity of their spirits, the sheer splendor of all they could accomplish through their hard work and intelligence. She told us that to underestimate human potential would be to make a grave mistake. With the smallest amount of guidance, enormous power can be unleashed in them. And a human who has reached their full potential may well be her equal. Someone who could have as much to teach an Adeptus as to learn from them.
She always had a way with words. That her mechanical accomplishments were judged superior to one's own was, one suspects, in large part due to her sheer eloquence.
Speaking of mechanics, Cloud Retainer, do you still remember that potted plant mechanism? The one that the two of you gave me as a gift?
Of course. Guizhong and one both put an immense amount of effort into that gift. It would be no overstatement to call it a testament to each of our individual technical genius.
As Guizhong once said, it takes every blade of grass and every flower to make a homeland. When I see the sight of Liyue Harbor before us today, I am reminded of this.
Madam Ping looks very emotional right now.
Of all of us, it was Guizhong who was the fondest of these grand and exciting occasions. Huh. If she were still with us, I'm quite sure she would still be trying to best Cloud Retainer's finest works at every opportunity.
Liyue Harbor is always filled with the sound of music at this time of the year. If she were here, one is certain that she would seek you out to discuss and debate the virtues of various melodies.
Oh, yeah! Music! We've been dying to ask. What was the melody that you played back then? Oh, also, with you being such a music expert and all, why don't you join the concert as a performer?
I can make arrangements right away.
Oh. As much as I don't wish to dampen your enthusiasm, it's been a long time since I played this zither. My fingers don't have the dexterity they once did. And whenever I play that tune, it always reminds me of her. I start wondering what she would think of the changes I have made to her melody. There was a period of time whenever I started strumming, it almost felt like she was back again. Sitting right there on the stone stool next to me, chatting away. Skybracer and Seagazer too, looking just like they did in the old days. No matter how much time goes by, the moment that melody starts playing, it transports me right back to that time in my memory.
So the past still weighs heavily on your heart?
Well, I would be lying to myself if I claimed to have completely moved on. But that is not to say that grief doesn't get easier with time. Despite the sadness, I have found many things that bring me joy in life. It is simply the nature of the world in which we live that even if one wished to mourn for an eternity, it would be a nigh impossible feat. Just look at this potted plant. Isn't it stunning?
It takes an honest and open mind to confront and conquer grief. You have indeed made progress.
Be that as it may, I shall leave the Lantern Rite stage to the youth of today.
Well, if you're sure.
Granny! Whoa, what's everyone doing here? Did something bad happen?
Ah, and now we've spooked Yanfei. No, everyone's just here to give me their regards for the holiday.
Oh, that's wonderful, I'm glad. Well, in that case, happy Lantern Rite, everyone.
Happy Lantern Rite. Oh, I just remembered that I have some, work to do at Yuehai Pavilion that I need to discuss with Yanfei. I haven't been able to find a chance until now. I will leave Mr. Dvorak in your capable hands. Cloud Retainer, Ping, we will be off for now.
Huh? Does it have to be right now? Which case is this again? Hey, Ganyu!
It seems Ganyu still has much to learn when it comes to the art of deception.
What a pity. She has learned nothing of one's ability to carry a conversation.
Since it's been so long, Cloud Retainer, why don't you stay? I'll make a cup of tea and we can chat a while.
Gladly. This was one's intention as well.
When you next see the Fontaine musician, please give him my regards. I'd like to wish him the very best with the concert.
You got it, Madam Ping!
Thank you all. I think you've listened to enough of my nattering for one day. As for that melody, I will play it for you all another time. Goodness knows I need to practice it first.
Wow, that'd be great! We'll look forward to it.
When that time comes, wherever her spirit may be among the countless grains of sand and specks of dust between the harbor and the mountains, perhaps she will look at the Liyue of today and steal a smile when she sees the prosperous land that it has become.
All right, let's go tell Mr. Dvorak the news. Mr. Dvorak! Ah, and Kuchin's here too! Thanks for helping set all of this up.
Welcome back. Did everything go well?
Really, really well. We found the person Mr. Dvorak was looking for.
Are you serious? I see. So the melody my ancestor heard was an adeptus remembering her late friend? That certainly explains why it was such a powerful and poignant tune.
Huh. That's a really interesting first reaction. Guess that comes with having a musical mind.
I have to say, though, it's hard to believe that the fairy from the tale is now an elderly granny.
Oh, Paimon knows exactly what you mean. Normally, Adepti don't age at all. But Streetward Rambler, or Madam Ping as we know her, probably only became old because it's what she wanted for herself.
Madame Ping possesses vast knowledge and great wisdom. Whatever physical form she may decide to take, her mind and wits are as sharp as they come.
Yep, Kuching summed it up perfectly. That's exactly what Paimon was trying to say.
I think... yes. I must thank her in person. That can wait until after the concert, though. For now, I need to devote all my emotional energy to the performance.
Ah, speaking of, Madam Ping wishes you all the best with the music festival. Paimon has a sneaking suspicion that she'll stay in her usual spot, but listen to the performances from afar.
Wait, are you serious? Oh no, now I'm starting to get nervous. Okay, alright. Nope, another rehearsal is in order. Please excuse me, everyone.
Mr. Dvorak? He's already gone. Paimon wasn't even finished telling him everything. Before we set off on our search with Ganyu, he asked us about what music means to people. After our recent adventure, Paimon thinks we have a lot more to say about that now.
Please, share your insights with me.
Well, we found out that music can be used for good, but also for bad. It can make people happy and moved, but it can also be sad and bittersweet. And music is like a kind of memory written in people's hearts. It can put you in touch with feelings from a totally different time and place.
It sounds like you had an eventful trip. Don't worry, I'm sure Ganyu will fill me in on all the details shortly.
Wait, does that mean you're gonna carry on working?
Mm-hmm. Just a few things to wrap up. All the groundwork is done. As long as everyone enjoys the festival activities, all our efforts are worthwhile. Happy Lantern Rite to you as well.
Whew. That should be everything taken care of, right? Oh, no, wait. Paimon feels like she's forgetting something. What was it? Oh, it feels like it was a while ago. Ah, shoot! Latent... Wait, no. Anyway, fancy bamboo shoots! Zhongli said he wasn't in a hurry, so if we went now, there's probably still time, right? Anyway, even if we don't make it, it's not our fault. He could have totally picked them by himself. Ugh. Anyway, let's go check with him at Wangsheng Funeral Parlor.
Da 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 da. Da da da. Oh.
All right, let's take a break here.
Oh wow, look who it is! Are you here to hang out with everyone's favorite funeral director?
So you're just casually practicing your rapping skills at the entrance to your funeral parlor? In broad daylight? Okay.
After everything we've been through, you don't see me for a hot minute, and you're back to being scared of your own shadow. We have all this open space, a clear view of the mountains behind and the sea in front. Not to mention we have several invisible audience members enthusiastically cheering us on. It's the perfect spot to rehearse.
Invisible audience members?
Gotta say, it took me a few days to get used to Director Who's way of talking.
Xinyan was pretty spooked too when she first got here. Just like when she sees a frog, but a giant frog with sharp teeth.
Come on, knock it off.
What's wrong? I've never seen someone look so confused before. Well, don't worry, because Director Who's here to explain it all. There once was a Fontaine musician who went around town on a mission. He came door to door for his iridescence tour, looking for acts to audition. With my words, Xinyan's chorus, and Yunjin as our mentor, we'll take the stage by storm with flames roaring and the whole audience calling for more.
For sure! The whole dance floor will be yelling encore! Encore! Oh, now Paimon's rhyming along. But when you say flames roaring, are you sure this'll be safe?
No, don't you worry about that. I'm pretty experienced on the stage, and I've already informed the Yuhong of all the pyrotechnics we're planning on using.
Huh. Guess we'll just have to trust Xinyan on this one.
Oh, Zhongli. He took one of those fancy meal boxes and set off for the mountains. Said he wanted to pay a visit to some old friends.
It's a real pity that he couldn't be around for this. As well as being a true connoisseur of traditional art forms, he's able to appreciate Xinyan's performances too.
Yeah, that's right. Matter of fact, he was the one who first invited me to perform here. To tell the truth, though, I never thought I'd really find myself rehearsing here one day.
Well, now you know. The Wangsheng Funeral Parlor is a great location. All of you are always welcome to come and hang out here, especially if you're in the mood to try something new. I can speak to that. Hu Tao is always full of fun surprises.
And jump scares.
Actually, Xinyan, I have some lyric ideas for your part. Do you want to go through them together?
Oh, sure thing. I'm all ears.
Oh, Traveler in Paimon, I believe Zhongli was heading to Mount Hulao, so make sure you're hiking up the right hill. When you see Zhongli, please pass on this message to him. It's up to him whether he wants to support us at the performance tonight, but I expect him to make time for the upcoming banquet we're planning. No excuses. You should join us too. It'll be a riot. If there's one thing I've learned from being a funeral director, it's how to throw a party.
A familiar face. Have you come from Liyue Harbor? How is the city nowadays?
Everything's great! But you know, if you're so curious, you can always go and check it out for yourself.
In fact, Mooncarver has been taking many walks on Mount Tianheng in recent times. I believe the sights of the city are quite familiar to him.
Zhongli! Here you are! We've brought the bamboo shoots you wanted.
Impeccable timing. Traditionally, bamboo shoot soup ought to be slow-cooked for many hours on low heat. Using Adeptus arts to hasten the process is something of a shortcut.
Wait, that mechanism, is that?
Indeed. Cloud Retainer kindly lent me her supreme cuisine machine.
Can we not just call it a cooking machine? Actually, never mind. She seems to take a lot of pride in her mechanical gizmos, so it's probably best if Paimon doesn't go changing the name willy-nilly.
I trust that you found the answers you were seeking during your recent journey. Excellent. The past should be remembered, but not overly dwelt upon. Our journey should be seen as a means to take on more from the world around us. When the bamboo shoot soup is ready, I must insist that you try some for yourself.
Oh, Zhongli! Hu Tao told us to tell you something. She said, it's up to him whether he wants to support us at the performance tonight, but I expect him to make time for the upcoming banquet we're planning. No excuses! When she says performance, she must mean the Lantern Rite Music Festival. As for the banquet, she didn't tell us anything more about that, but she invited us to come as well.
As you can see, I have a prior engagement with two Adepti friends of mine tonight. Please, give Director Hu my best wishes for the performance. As for the banquet, since the Director insists, far be it from a mere consultant like myself to refuse.
Yay! Then we'll see you there?
Absolutely.
Rex Lapis, the bamboo shoot soup is ready.
Thank you. I will examine it right away. The appearance is exquisite, and the aroma rich and intense. The craftsmanship of this machine is commendable indeed. Since you came all this way, you should not leave empty-handed. Please, take some soup. It tastes most exquisite while still warm.
I'm honored to be here on the Iridescence Tour stage. All right, without further ado, I'm Xinyan, this is Hitao, and this is a little something called...
The Blaze Lilies!
I'm up here blazing trails through the midnight sky, lighting up the world below. And when the crowds all hear my voice, they'll meet the spirit of rock and roll.
Let's go! Hey, you butterfly, you too buzzing by, guiding your way to the afterlife, opening the path without a fright. Oh, I'll light the fire, watch it blaze across the universe. I'll spit my rhymes, watch your step, or you'll get burned. Hey, woo!
Does anyone have any plans tomorrow? With another year behind us, I think we deserve a celebration of our own. My treat. Interested?
The Tianquan footing the bill? I can't miss out on that.
Master, listen!
May the year ahead be a blessed one.
I believe it shall be.
Master, the Xiao Lanterns,
Ha! Elementary. One shall fashion for you a Xiao Lantern the likes of which the world has never seen. And you must take it to Liyue Harbor to display its magnificence for all.
Listen! That must be Madame Ping!
extra abyss sauce. Thank you for completing.
Ores and jewelry from Liyue. You can't find a better deal anywhere else.
Hey! Hello? Do you know where Kazuha is?
You're looking for Kazuha too, huh? Guess he must have done something impressive after all. Well, we took the small vessels into Rito on a routine supply run, only this time, as soon as we entered the harbor, we ran into a huge crowd of Inazumans, all of them wanting to know about Kazuha. If it's because of that battle on Nizuchi Beach, Captain Beto had a great run there too, but I don't see her getting this kind of attention. Kazuha keeps to himself most of the time. In fact, there are times when he doesn't even listen to the captain, but she just laughs it off.
Oh, so you still don't know what he did?
I've heard bits and pieces. It's something about him blocking the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. Is it really as big a deal as everyone's making it out to be? Really? Wow. When you put it like that, it all makes sense. In that case, his newfound stardom is well deserved. He was called away earlier by some people from the Tenryou Commission. They said they had something important to discuss with him. I thought they'd come to arrest him at first. Turns out they couldn't have been friendlier to him. Seems like they really respect the guy.
Just a little while ago, this would have been completely unimaginable. Thank you! Guess we'll go pay a visit to the Tenryou Commission.
All right then. I'll just stay here and carry on trying to fend off the crowd.
Oh? It's you.
Greetings. We were just discussing the repealing of the Vision Hunt Decree. Since you're here, you're very welcome to listen in on the conversation. We invited Mr. Kaidahara here to extend a gesture of goodwill on behalf of the Shogunate. Your hard work has secured for us the agreeable state of affairs that we now enjoy. Also, I've been granted the chance to correct my clan's past mistakes, and for that, I'm deeply grateful. The Almighty Shogun has issued a large array of directives aimed at resolving, or at least easing, the tensions that have built up over the years. The Tri-Commission has made the recommendation to use this opportunity to restore the honor of the Kaidahara name. Regarding the history of the Kaidahara clan, I trust that you're already somewhat informed? In short, there was once a group of select bladesmiths who served the Shogun directly, responsible for upholding and further developing the traditional blade forging arts of the Almighty Shogun. The Kaidahara clan belonged to this class. But there came a time when some of these bladesmiths revolted and fled to Snezhnaya. Both the Kaidahara and Kamisato clans were held accountable for lax oversight and entered a period of great turmoil. We later learned that the whole misadventure had been secretly orchestrated by the Fatui. Attributing all of the blame to the Kamisato and Kaidahara clans was neither proper nor just. Considering Mr. Kaidahara has once more made an outstanding contribution to Inazuma, the Almighty Shogun believes he should not only be rewarded for his achievements, but also receive recompense for the excessive punishment borne by his clan in the past. In the interest of preventing further harassment of the Bladesmith clans by the Fatui, we chose not to publicly release the findings of our investigations into these matters. We trust you can understand why this was necessary.
This is a true honor. I am delighted to be in a position to receive the goodwill of the Almighty Shogun and the Shogunate at large. However, would I be correct to assume that this magnanimous gesture does not come without some strings attached?
I can assure you that nothing could be further from the truth. We seek only to correct a past injustice. With the Kaidahara clan's reputation and occupation restored, the Kaidaharas will be bladesmiths once more, and your wanderings will finally come to an end. You will be able to lead a safe and prosperous life in Inazuma City with the Almighty Shogun's blessing and full support of the Shogunate.
I have grown accustomed to life among the elements. I fear I would no longer feel at home behind the tall walls of a stately abode. Yet my ancestors did indeed take great pride in the name of Kaidahara, and the art of blade making for which it stood. I do have a responsibility to restore their honor.
I sense some hesitation in your words. Should you accept this offer, I imagine many of the malicious rumors currently circulating through the populace will disappear.
Malicious rumors? All we heard on the way here was so much praise that we almost wondered whether there was another Kaidahara Kazuha in town.
Well, to some, the Muso no Hitotachi is something that can never be defeated. They cannot accept the idea that Mr. Kaidahara really parried the Shogun's strike. Also, eyewitnesses saw him using the power of Electro in addition to that of Animo. As a result, the falsehood that Kaidahara Kazuha was using a delusion began to spread.
What? But that doesn't make sense. Using a delusion turns you old and frail, and Kazuha still looks fine.
That is correct. However, to some people, the idea of a single person wielding two elements at once is a more inconceivable notion still.
This is just one of many similar rumors. I am very uncomfortable with being the subject of public discussion, no matter whether it brings suspicion or stardom my way. But perhaps if the Shogunate is willing to publicly support me, this situation will blow over more quickly.
This is precisely why I encourage you to give our offer some serious thought. It stands to benefit all of us.
Please allow me some time to consider. In fact, let us put this discussion on hold for the moment. Well then, what brings the two of you here?
Yikes! We nearly forgot about the most important thing!
Why would such a dangerous individual be looking for me? No, this puzzles me as much as it does you. My fighting forms were taught to me by my family, based on techniques originally developed for blade testing. We undergo rigorous training to standardize every motion the blade is put through, so that each can be fairly assessed for quality. Over time, these techniques came to form something of a Kaedehara sword art, focused on blade testing, but with a full repertoire of combat forms. Those forms are quite different from the more practical ones typically used by samurai in battle. So it's hard to imagine that the similarity you speak of was coincidence alone.
All the more reason to watch your back! This guy was a serious nutcase.
Indeed. He sounds highly aggressive. Anyone he targets is at risk of serious injury, or worse.
In that case, I will send some men out immediately to search for him.
Thank you. I must say I am now very curious about this matter, and I will also need some time to consider your offer. I will first join the Traveler in investigating the one who attacked her, then give you a conclusive answer upon my return.
Very well. Please stay safe.
Come on. Let's go and track down your aggressor.
The detective agency knows the most about what goes on in town. Let's see what Ryuji has to say. A quick question. Do you know if anyone around here has been looking for him? For Kaedehara Kazuha, we mean.
Aha! So this is the renowned Mr. Kaedehara. I've heard a lot about you. It is an honor to finally meet you today.
You are too kind. We are currently investigating an assault and would appreciate any help you can offer.
Oh? You were targeted in an assault? Let me think. I can't seem to recall anything of immediate interest. Mr. Kaedehara is currently the talk of the town, so there are always a lot of people looking for him. To be honest with you, our detective agency has recently been receiving many inquiries from people wishing to obtain Mr. Kaedehara's personal information. Some of them were offering us millions of mora just to gather the information they want. If these were more legitimate commissions, Sango would have snapped them up in an instant.
Millions? Of mora? Whoa! Oh, wait, even at that price, you probably still shouldn't.
Please, accept my thanks for looking out for my privacy.
Of course. No matter what, we only take on legitimate cases. We don't make our money by revealing details of other people's day-to-day life just for the sake of it. Sorry, I got a little off topic. What I'm really trying to say is, it doesn't surprise me that a complete stranger is looking for Mr. Kaedehara. but I wouldn't know where to begin if we want to connect this with an assault.
Then let's put that connection aside for now. Have there been any other attacks or similar incidents recently that stand out as particularly unusual? The Tenryou Commission had very few leads, and I thought you might have some information from different sources.
It's true that the commissioners aren't clued up about every little thing that goes on out in the streets, but typically, it's only the most trivial events that manage to escape their attention. If anyone had been out there attacking people, that would be assault, in which case the Tenryou Commission would absolutely get involved.
That does make sense. Uh-oh. Looks like the trail's already run cold.
I still find it difficult to believe that whoever attacked you hasn't been causing any trouble elsewhere. Few people possess your prowess in battle. So unless you were the first person he targeted, someone is certain to have been hurt by now. I am well aware of your talents. There is no need to be humble around me. In fact, I'm quite relieved that you were the one he targeted. It would cause me great grief to see someone become critically injured or lose their life because of me. For the poor victim, this would be a completely senseless crime.
Don't worry, we'll find him.
It seems you are every bit the selfless hero they make you out to be, Mr. Kaedehara. Surely this same concern for your fellow man is what drove you to fearlessly raise your blade against the almighty Shogun.
You flatter me. Truth be told, I don't know quite what came over me in that moment.
You are much too humble. Don't worry, I completely understand your concerns. I will try my best to gather whatever leads I can for you. Oh, actually, there was one strange incident over the last few days. It doesn't involve an attack, though. Let me tell you about it just in case.
Sure. During times like this, the more information we have, the better.
All right then. Recently, 2 people went missing from the city at around the same time. One of them is a pretty well-known collector, surnamed Nagato. The other, Amenoma Yuya, is a samurai from the Amenoma clan.
Amenoma! Now there's a familiar name.
Right. Yuya is the nephew of Amenoma Togo, the owner of Amenoma Smithy. 2 grown men going missing at the same time. Their cases are likely connected, but I don't know much in the way of details. I recalled this because Amenoma Yuya is also an accomplished martial artist who is skilled with the blade. Perhaps he is the one you are looking for.
Understood, though it seems highly unlikely to me. I neither know this man, nor do I have any idea why he may wish to attack me.
Sure, can't hurt. We never know what we might find out along the way.
Thank you, Ryuji. We'll start by making some inquiries at the Amenoma Smithy.
Sounds good. All the best with your investigation. I'll get moving shortly myself.
Welcome to Bonton Sangha Detective Agency. What will you have me solve? Welcome to Bonton Sangha Detective Agency. What will you have me solve?
Ah, if it isn't Kaedehara Kazuha. What brings you here today?
Huh? You 2 know each other?
Yes, the Kaedehara and Amenoma clans were both members of the Raiden Gokaden. Historically, there have always been deep links between the two clans. After I returned to Inazuma, I visited Mr. Amenoma to pay my respects. Yes, you may recall the story of the Raiden Gokaden from the Iridori Festival.
Though all bladesmiths trace their craft back to the same source, over time, each of us has arrived at a different blade-making philosophy, spawning the development of different branches of the same art. As an example, the Amenoma art strives to emulate the abiding patience and determination of water as it turns stone to sand. There is nothing mystical to our work. There is only practice, day in and day out, until both body and mind have memorized the craft, turning each motion of every technique into an intrinsic part of the bladesmith's life. As for the art of the Kaedehara clan, I believe it's called the Ishin art.
That's right. Ishin art strives for complete harmony between blade and mind from the moment that forging begins. For only a blade thus forged can capture and convey its maker's thoughts and feelings, and eventually become an extension of its wielder's will.
Indeed. Most samurai choose their blades, but an Ishin blade chooses its owner. You are, without a doubt, the most worthy wielder of an Ishin blade. It gladdens my heart to see that although the Kaedehara clan has fallen on hard times, its ideals and virtues are alive and well.
You overestimate me. My actions are guided by my own personal sentiments, not by any noble aspirations on behalf of my clan. But let's get back on topic. The purpose of our visit today is to gather some information on your missing nephew. We hope to assist with the investigation. It may turn out that this case is connected to another we are pursuing.
Ah, yes. My nephew. I reported the case to the Tenryo Commission, but I haven't heard anything back so far. He didn't say a word before he left, which is very unlike him. I'm still completely at a loss on what to make of it, but I've done what I can so far. Worrying is futile. All I can do now is wait for the news from the Tenryo Commission.
We heard that there was a collector involved in the disappearance too. Know anything about that?
Yes. On the morning that Yuya went missing, he gave me a very cryptic look and said that he was going to give me a great gift. I believe he went to collect the item from Mr. Nagato after that. The next thing I heard was that a fire had broken out at the warehouse, and neither of them came back. Yes, strange, isn't it? I wonder what could have caused it. Unfortunately, there was very little evidence left behind, so nobody knows what really happened.
Do you have any thoughts on what Yuya may have wanted to give you?
If I had to guess, it must have been some kind of rare weapon. Otherwise, there would have been no reason for him to get my hopes up. He's never been particularly interested in blade forging, but has always had a fondness for blade testing, and can sense even the most minute differences in blade quality. He is extraordinarily talented in martial arts, particularly when it comes to the art of the sword.
Truth be told, we have some information that you may find to be objectionable. The person we are looking for, he attacked this friend of mine. Based on the evidence we have gathered so far, only Yuya seems to match the suspect's profile.
What? No. Absolutely impossible. Yuya is not that kind of person. He is humble and kind. Even his training is done with the goal of calming his mind. He has never gotten into a fight before.
Huh. Is that so?
Yes. If there's one thing I can say for certain, It's that Yuya would never draw his blade without a very good reason. But, with that said, it's equally out of character for him to just disappear, with neither farewell nor fair warning. I also cannot know what course of action he might be capable of if coerced, or otherwise compelled by circumstances unbeknownst to me. Anyway, should you find him, please let me know as soon as possible.
Don't worry. You have our word.
From the sound of that, Paimon doesn't think Yuya was the one who attacked us as well.
Yes. It sounds as if something happened when the two men met each other. Let's pay a visit to the Nagato household.
Okay. Limiting patience.
I'm very sorry, but we cannot afford to pay what we owe right now. My husband has gone missing, and I'm still trying to find him.
No, you misunderstand us. We are here to help with the investigation. We'd like to ask you some questions about Mr. Nagato's disappearance, if we may.
Ah, I see. I thought the debt collectors had come to visit again. I'm sorry you have to see me in this dreadful state. Has some new information come out? Do you know where he's gone?
I'm afraid we don't have any new information at the moment. We're still trying to find out as much as we can to inform our search. With this in mind, can we perhaps ask some questions about your family's current situation?
For example, Paimon's struggling to understand why a collector would be strapped for Mora.
That's a long story. Ever since I've known him, he's been an avid collector of all sorts of things. He'd always get so animated when he was showing them to me. I knew nothing about the items myself, but seeing how enthusiastic and excited they made him, I was happy to believe that they were just extremely important to him. Everything was fine when we first got married, but as time went by, things changed for the worse.
Uh-oh. What happened?
He lost his sense of restraint. He started buying more and more things, and even resorted to borrowing money just so he could pay for them. Our expenses really spiraled out of control when he started getting interested in weapons. It was awful. There were days when he'd spend hours down at the warehouse, admiring his weapons even as debt collectors were descending upon our house. He wouldn't sell them, wouldn't even touch them. Just sat there staring at them like he was in a trance. I'm happy he has a hobby, and I'm willing to support him. But making ends meet has to come first. I've tried talking to him about it so many times, but he never listens. On the last day that I saw him, I gave him an ultimatum. I said, if he refused to sell his collectibles and pay off his debts, I would divorce him and take the children with me.
Whoa!
And that led to an argument.
Actually, it didn't. Generally, he's a quiet man who likes to go with the flow. On most things, he leaves the decision-making to me. You must understand, I never would have dreamed of threatening him with divorce if the debts hadn't pushed our family to the brink. After I said those words, he froze and was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, he awkwardly mumbled that he would pick out a few items to sell. His voice was so meek and pitiful that I felt an urge to take everything back. But then what? If I didn't draw the line, what would happen to our family? Had I not indulged his bad habits, we wouldn't have found ourselves in such a predicament. And I also don't know if he had actually come to his senses, or if he was simply angry with me. The next thing I heard was that our warehouse had caught fire, and both he and the buyer had gone missing.
I see. I understand. Ame no Mayuya came to purchase a weapon from Mr. Nagato. During the sale, a fire broke out at the warehouse, and both men disappeared.
At first, I assumed they must have gotten into an argument over the price. But my husband has never been one to negotiate. He never even haggles when he's out buying groceries, so it's hard to imagine him getting into a fierce argument.
Maybe he was feeling the pressure from the debts?
I don't know. He just disappeared after the warehouse burned down. Perhaps he's too afraid to come home now that all his collectibles have been lost in the fire, and he's got no way to pay off our debts. Even though I'm still a little mad at him, we're a family, and I want us to face our family's crisis together. As long as he's willing to turn over a new leaf, I know we can work things out.
Please don't get upset. There could be more to this situation than meets the eye. If collecting things is a habit that Mr. Nagato had his whole life, it is quite unusual for this habit to change so drastically over a short period. But the information we gathered from the other side suggests Ame no Mayuya is also a mild-mannered man who would not be likely to start an argument. This situation is getting a little confusing.
A little confusing? More like completely mystifying.
Let's try a change of scenery and see if we can piece together what we've learned. Rest assured, we'll notify you if we find anything.
Thank you so much. I just want him to come home.
Based on the information we've gathered so far, I can only surmise that the sales meeting between the two men was somehow the catalyst for their disappearance. The fire at the warehouse likely played a part in how the situation unfolded, though its exact role is a mystery. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, Paima was thinking that maybe someone accidentally knocked over an oil lamp and, nope, never mind. Paimon's brain needs to rest for a while. Over to you.
That is the most likely conclusion based on everything we know. What started as a disagreement over the price escalated and ultimately turned into a tragedy. However, in this case, only one of the parties would have started the fire. That would make the other party innocent, and they would have no reason to hide themselves from the public. If this is indeed what happened, and the innocent man hasn't come forward yet, then it suggests they may have already lost their life. One fact that I keep coming back to is that Amenoma Yuya is polite and well-mannered, while Mr. Nagato is introverted and passive. Neither seems like the type of person who is inclined towards initiating conflict. Mr. Nagato, being heavily in debt, is also the only one of them with the potential motive to disappear after the fire. The more I ponder it, the more puzzling it becomes. Just what could have happened there? Right. Although the time frame seems to broadly match, no other details that we've learned seem to link the two events together. Amenoma Yuya lacks a key distinguishing feature of the attacker, namely that he is principally a practitioner of the blade testing techniques of Amenoma art, not those of the combat-oriented Ishin art.
Darn! We thought we could get two birds with one stone here, but at this rate, it's starting to look like a wild goose chase.
Let's keep going, since we've come this far. If we can solve the case, both Mr. Amenoma and Mrs. Nagato will be able to get some closure.
Okay, but where should we go now?
Let's head out of the city and check out the warehouse. There's still a chance we may be able to find some shreds of evidence. Wait. I hear something ominous in the wind.
Oh! This must be another one of those sounds that only you can hear. As sketchy as that whole thing seems, you did put it to good use when we were chasing down that vision thief at Beto's tournament, so...
Now I'm picking up a strong scent in addition to the sound. It's right around here somewhere.
But there's nothing here.
It's gone now, but I can still sense the direction it left in. It felt very much like that ancient presence in Inazuma, the remnants of the Tatarigami. Indeed. But this unexpected spring of inauspicious energy may prove to be of benefit to our investigation. We should remain vigilant and approach slowly.
Huh! So it's an underground warehouse.
The force is definitely coming from down below. The source of the Tatarigami energy has long since left this place, but the residue it left behind still hasn't dissipated completely. Judging from the concentration, I would have to conclude that the Tatarigami source resided here for a very long time.
Mrs. Nagato said her husband used to hang around the warehouse by himself a lot.
It could well be that he was already under the influence of Tatarigami energy at that time. From what I've been told, Tatarigami does not turn all upon whom it preys into violent monsters, but most will develop a stubborn streak upon being exposed to the Tatarigami's unfulfilled will. Their interests become fanatical obsessions. Mr. Nagato had an interest in collecting to begin with. The influence of Tatarigami could explain why he became an obsessive hoarder, amassing more and more possessions, even as he put himself in grave debt.
So what should we do now? Go down and take a look?
Step back. I'll open the door and take a look inside. If we don't open this door, we can move no closer to the truth. You needn't worry. Both of us have faced far greater dangers than this. Relatively speaking, the risk here is trivial. Huh.
What's down there?
Everything's buried in debris. I can't see anything. It looks like the fire caused a cave-in, reducing the entire warehouse to rubble.
That was too scary! Paimon was so sure that the warehouse boogeyman was about to jump out at us!
All we can do now is keep searching in the direction that the Tatarigami energy source left this place. 2 ordinary humans, entangled with the Tatarigami. I fear... Yes, let's go. If nothing else, it's vital that we find out where this Tatarigami energy is coming from. Quiet your mind and focus on what you sense around you. Perhaps you too will perceive its ominous presence in the wind. From this point, the trail appears to split into 2. The main source of the Tatarigami energy continued on into the distance, but a small portion remained here and seems to be dissipating slowly. Quite possibly. Let's search the area. Something seems to be drawing their attention. Let's take a closer look.
Rest and rebuild! Boing, boing, boom!
It's...
Ugh! Look at this red stuff! What is it?
By the looks of it, a letter written on a piece of torn clothing. The ink is bone dry. It must have been written quite some time ago. Well, let's take a look. According to this letter, a conflict arose because Amenoma Yuya wanted to seize a blade belonging to Mr. Nagato. Yuya started the fire that destroyed the warehouse and wounded Mr. Nagato in the fight. Mr. Nagato kept chase as long as he could, eventually stopping here to write this letter when his strength gave out.
So, where is he?
He was not only mortally wounded, but also under the heavy influence of Tatarigami. Add to that the fact that its aura seems to have attracted a horde of monsters, and I'm afraid he may no longer be with us. Whatever traces there may have been of his fate beyond after this point, they've since been disturbed by the hilly churls. There's nothing more for us to find here. Yes, right now we need to uncover some more important truths. If Ame no Mayuya is attacking other people indiscriminately, then the longer we take to find him, the more people risk meeting the same tragic end.
Right! So let's get moving!
I wouldn't be surprised if he, too, fell prey to the influence of the Tatarigami. For a practitioner of the martial arts, the easiest desire to inflame would be their pursuit of further power and skill. All the clues that at first seemed disparate and disconnected, it seems that now we know the thread that runs between them. I have a hypothesis that, if it's correct, not only explains the series of events leading to the two men's disappearance, but also zeroes in on the attacker's identity.
Wait! You figured it out? So these two cases are connected after all?
I believe so. But it's something of an outlandish idea. I will only be able to confirm my suspicions once we've met him in person. On with the search. We must stay vigilant. At any point now, we may find ourselves in danger. He seems to have stayed here for a long time.
Why here? Is there anything special about this place?
I'm not sure. But on closer examination, I sense that the aura may have lingered here at several different points in time.
Show yourself! It's no use hiding anymore.
Kaede Harakazua. It's you, at last.
Aha! So it is the same guy from before! What's your problem, huh? What could you possibly have against Kazuha?
Indeed, there should be no enmity between us. If it is Ame no Mayuya that stands before us. But what if instead of facing Ame no Mayuya, we are in fact facing the blade in his hand?
Now that you mention it, it is giving off a strange light. Whoa, whoa! Surely you don't mean... Are you serious?
Tatarigami energy often lodges itself within physical objects, then works to subtly affect any living organisms in its vicinity. The blade has resided in Mr. Nagato's warehouse for many years, affecting his state of mind, and more recently using the sail as a means to affect, or rather as a means to occupy, Ame no Mayuya's body.
You're sharper than I thought. You've already deduced the truth of the matter. Many, many years ago, I was forged by a famed bladesmith of the Ishin tradition. I was his pride and joy. In me, he placed all his hopes and dreams. As a descendant of the Kaedehara clan, you should be able to guess our greatest regret.
I presume it has something to do with the Raiden Gokaden.
Indeed. At that point in time, he failed to live up to the Raiden Shogun's expectations. In the end, all he could do was to flee the nation by sea on a ship bound for Snezhnaya. He was a bladesmith of great renown, a master of his craft. There was nothing that he could not accomplish. All he needed was more time and a little faith. And sure enough, in the end, he achieved what he had set out to do. All of his life's work, his wisdom, his skill, it culminated in his creation of me. He not only bestowed upon me the greatest of strength, but also endowed me with a consciousness of my own. In her conceit, the Raiden Shogun lost not only the single most perfect blade in the entire world, but also an irreplaceable achievement in the art of blade forging.
So, swords can become conscious and control people?
The people of the time in which I was born never believed I had that kind of power. They saw me as a mere blade, a sharp and well-crafted one, but in all other respects an ordinary weapon. But that gave me the opportunity to take action. After the death of my creator, I decided to leave Snezhnaya and began my long quest to return to the distant land of Inazuma. Moving from one person to the next, I controlled the minds of countless hosts along the way, each bringing me one step closer to my ancestral home. I seek but one thing: to face the full force of the Raiden Shogun's blade and prove my power, the might of Ishin art.
Ah, so Amenoma Yuya was not your first victim. Tell me, what happens to those you've possessed when you've finished using them?
My hosts? Who cares what happens to them? They are but tools that serve my mission. When they got tired, or injured, or unusable, I hopped to the next one in line. All I needed them for was to take me back to Inazuma.
You're awful!
After I returned to Inazuma, I decided to bide my time in Nagato's warehouse until Amenoma Yuya handed himself over to me on a silver platter. At long last, I'm approaching my journey's destination. By Amenoma Yuya's body, I have found you, and by your hand, I shall defeat the Raiden Shogun. Kaede Harakazuha, you stood against the Raiden Shogun's Muso no Hitotachi. There can be no other to serve as my host for what is to come. Now, give your body over to me!
Germinate! Jumpy Dumpty Go! Allow me! Covenant of the Deep! Let's move out.
Into the wind. One with nature.
He shall rewrite history.
Into the wind. Fallen leaves, adorn my night.
Do not stand in my way, or I will strike you down too!
Your bluff's fooling no one! You've lost!
Lost? I can never lose. It is this body that has reached its limit, nothing more. Even if you defeat me here, the one who falls will not be me, but this man. He is but a puppet that can be replaced. I can take a new vessel at will. The end result is the same. I will end this wretch's life before you can lift a finger. And even if I were to lose my physical form, it is but a small setback. My consciousness shall endure. By any means necessary and any medium available, I shall return and fulfill my destiny!
Your fighting style. It is indeed the forms of Ishin art. But from your movements, I sense only hatred and arrogance, as well as a thinly veiled mania and despair.
Really? You can tell all that just from his moves?
As I've mentioned before, the forms of Ishin art convey the user's thoughts and feelings. Since the blade is currently possessing Aminome Yuya's body, its movements express the innermost thoughts of the blade. If you ask me, the mania is probably due to your desperate, single-minded ambition. You believe I am your only hope.
Are you trying to claim that I am helpless without you? On his deathbed, he passed to me all of Ishin Art's secrets. The little that you know barely scratches the surface. In that regard, why would I ever need your help?
Because all of that is in the past. I've been wondering why you've not caused more trouble in all the years that you've been in Inazuma. If you are indeed a cursed blade that can possess its owner. Now that I've seen inside your mind, everything finally makes sense. You weren't biding your time. You were trapped. After all the time that's passed, you have grown weak. To the point that you are now unable to acquire a new host without making physical contact.
Oh, that's right. Paimon remembers now. Mr. Nagato had a habit of never touching his collectibles.
Only when Mr. Nagato witnessed his wife's distress and decided to sell his collectibles did you finally have an opportunity to reach out to Aminome Yuya and make your escape.
And what of it?
Well, that brings me to my second point. There's a despair in you that is so strong it threatens to overwhelm you. You were determined to fulfill your maker's ambition, whatever the cost. But this ambition is too grand and too heavy for you to bear. Each step you have taken has come at a great cost. I think you realized your limitations long ago. The more you clenched your teeth and pressed forward, the greater your fear of losing everything you had achieved grew, and the more you wished to run from the truth. But the way I see it, what began as an ambition has long since become a delusional fantasy.
What would you know about any of this? I'm just one step away from achieving my goal.
You returned to Inazuma to prove the unparalleled brilliance of Ishin art. But to make this arduous journey, you committed countless atrocities and showed a blatant disregard for human life. Even if you were to sever that divine light, is this truly the outcome that your maker would have desired?
You...
Sure, you inherited the secrets of Ishin art. But even as you made your journey to honor this legacy, you treated the ones who wielded you as mere tools to do your bidding. How could you possibly unleash the full potential of Ishin art when you act in perfect discordance with the principle of harmony between a blade and its bearer?
Silence, you blabbering fool! I must achieve my goal. This was his life's dream, and the very purpose for which I was brought into being. I will concede that you are most perceptive. You see my predicament clearly. But you also underestimate my resolve.
And you should face reality.
Easy for you to say. Facing reality offers me nothing. I have no need of anything that would stand in my way. Not hesitation, not self-reflection, and certainly not your so-called reality. It is pointless to argue further, descendant of the Kaedahara clan. If you wish to save this man, then offer me your body in exchange.
How stubbornly you stick to your wayward path. I do not believe for a second that you can challenge the almighty Shogun in your current state. So let us make a bet, and I will put your strength to the test.
Surely you're not planning to agree to his demands.
Very well. Then find yourself some enemies with whom you wish to cross blades. A taste of my power will more than convince you. Once we have dealt with them, we shall proceed to Tenshukaku.
And as for your end of the bargain, if you lose, you must release Amenoma Yuya from your control.
I accept.
Don't do this, Kazuha!
This is the only way to save Amenoma Yuya. If we don't do this, he'll forever be the Blade's puppet. The Cursed Blade's strength is currently very weak, and I sense he's hesitating. This suggests his heart is still not completely devoid of honor. The power of the Tatarigami lies in intensifying existing obsessions. This is the reason Mr. Nagato and Amenoma Yuya fell prey to it. Since I don't have any similar kinds of obsessions, I should be able to put up some resistance for a while.
But even so...
Even if things take a turn for the worse, I still have you both here with me. We have a chance here to save an innocent victim. I am willing to accept the risks entailed.
Your disdain for me betrays your woeful ignorance. I agreed to this bet because there are things I wish to learn too. Now, take me in your hand.
Kazuha?
I'm okay. I felt a little dizzy at first, but only for a moment. It's all right. So far, this was as I expected. I will. Thank you.
What should we do next? Have you got a plan, Kazuha?
We find some enemies. Although this blade has endured much turmoil, it probably hasn't experienced many real fights. If a blade built for Ishin art cannot enter a state of harmony between blade and bearer, it cannot unleash its true power. If he wants to avoid reality, then we need to fight until he has no choice but to face it. He shouldn't last long in an intense combat situation.
Wait a minute! Paimon remembers hearing about something from the Adventurers Guild. Since the Takasukasa clan abandoned that secret base, it's been held by Ronin ever since.
Ah, all right. Please lead the way.
What about Amenoma Yuya? What should we do with him?
The blade says he'll let Amenoma Yuya trail us silently. Although he hasn't regained his own consciousness yet, he is not in any immediate danger.
Are we sure this is a good idea? It's a pretty treacherous journey. Okay, fine. Just be careful.